keep it that way.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. What's next on your agenda,
Well,
Mayor?
gosh, there was this little poll that came out yesterday, and I will confess I knew nothing of it until I got an email indicating the poll results. It's
Yes.
They polled a bunch of names. A firm out of the Lansing area, Okemos, polled a bunch of names in the Republican side for potential. I think they polled Republican primary voters for who they'd like to see as the Republican candidate for the United States Senate. As we all know, Senator Levin is not running again, so it's an open seat. As one would expect, Congressman or Chairman Mike Rogers, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, was top of the list on that poll. Former Secretary of State Terry Lynn Land was also sort of second on that list. Considering she's won and ran twice statewide, she has certain name recognition, and those two things are not terribly surprising. The more interesting piece of that poll, I think, was that there was somebody who was really neck and neck with Congressman Amash from the Grand Rapids area, and that happened to be me. So. It's intriguing. It's something that I certainly didn't expect when I didn't even know the poll was going in the field in the first place. It adds to the thought process and the conversation process about whether or not I should think about jumping into that race. Candidly, everybody is waiting to see what Congressman Rogers does. Mm-hmm. And if Congressman Rogers gets in, I think that will make at least my decision, I'll only speak personally, my decision pretty simple. If the chairman decides to not enter the race, then the conversations become a whole lot more interesting, because I think that then opens up more of a chance for others to jump in and others to have success. So better to have a result like that than not, I guess, even though it was substantially unexpected on my part. But
you're not looking for property in Alexandria, Virginia.
No, not at all. Not at all. So it's a piece of data that goes into the equation of whether to do something like this. It's not a definitive answer one way or the other.
Okay. It's interesting nonetheless.
It is. I mean, basically I got the email and, it was surprising. I think, frankly, maybe it has a little bit to do with me and something to do with me, but it also, I think, has to do with the great story that is Holland. If you think about where we are as a community, especially economically, we got hit really hard after the 2001 recession.
Right.
We got really hit hard in the really the last decade. But you look at what the Holland-Zeeland market is doing in terms of the economy. We're leading the state in job growth. We're the second highest region in the state, the second or third in the number of patents per 1,000 workers that are issued, meaning we have a lot of creativity and a lot of intellectual activity happening around here. We're second or third in the state for the amount of exports per 1,000 workers. So our stuff gets built here and shipped around the globe to a degree and intensity that is beaten only, I think, in the Battle Creek area with the amount of Japanese companies that have located there. And then Lakeshore Advantage recently came out with a report that said the Holland-Zeeland market is actually leading the country, not just Michigan, the country,
really?
In terms of manufacturing recovery growth. So the amount of manufacturing jobs and the percentage of manufacturing jobs that are being created in our part of the world, right here in little old Holland-Zeeland, is actually growing at the fastest pace in the country. So, those are the stories that people think of when they think of what's happening in West Michigan, what's happening in Holland, and that can only help when people start thinking, okay, what kinds of people would we like to see in elected office? Where would we like to see? What's the story? What's the narrative for causing them to be thought of as potential office holders somewhere else? Well, let's look a little bit at where they've come from and the kinds of things that are happening while they're in office more locally. So I think that plays a part too.
And we rank pretty high on the happiness list.
Right, exactly. Places to retire, and all those kinds of lists help. There are some people who make decisions based on. I know we had some folks move to town based on the happiness survey.
Yeah.
Now, did they just see the survey and move to town solely on that? No, but they heard of us through that, came and checked us out, and found out that it's a pretty nice spot. I think I'll show up there. But so it certainly isn't a bad thing, but it also, I think, folds into the whole question of why did Dykstra do so surprisingly well?